Welcome back to the show. So, listen, every once in a while you come across something that is really mind-blowing, right? There's a lot of, sneaky people out there. There's a lot of tricky stuff going on the internet and this summer the big thing was Mrs. P's pink sauce, right? If you're not privy to this, in midsummer there was a TikToker named Chef P who created a homemade pink sauce, and there's tons of videos all over the place on YouTube. You can find it, and it was just a huge debacle. This was a self-proclaimed chef to the stars or something like that, and she'd made a homemade like ranch flavored pink sauce with dragon fruit and shipped it all over the country. And it was like $20 a bottle. People bought this stuff, and she was making this in her home, and she shipped it out using like regular mail, so it didn't get put with like dry ice. There was no preservatives in this product. It didn't go through any kind of FDA or health department inspections. It's just somebody making stuff in their own kitchen at home and selling it for retail sale, or wholesale, whatever you want to call that, right? So she people were getting these things and the bottles were exploded. It had raw honey in it and milk. Like, it was just a, a bottle of botulism, essentially, is what a lot of people have been calling it. So that made like national media, right? So this was like a big deal that this amateur, she had a lot of missteps, probably had good intentions, wanting to be an up and coming entrepreneur. I think Shark Tank has brought out the worst in people. Everybody thinks they can be a self-made millionaire now. But there are steps you have to follow. So I happen to know one of these kind of people. And this is the thing that I wanted to talk about, is that, listen, uh, just like my disclaimer at the very beginning, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a lawyer, but I have a background in business and I know how things work. And there are plenty of people on YouTube and people that you can reach in your local community if you want to start a business, to find out how to do these things properly, to stay within the law. Here in the United States, we're governed by laws and rules and regulations to protect people, you know, just so I'm not just making any random thing in my house and selling it to you that might get you sick, right? I have to have a health inspector come inspect my kitchen. Am I in my home, or is this a business? Like, there's steps you have to follow. So this is like the thinking of like a lemonade stand when you're 11. That's a lot different, right? Your mom and dad are involved. They're putting, the lemonade mix into a pitcher and water, and that's it. And you're selling it for a quarter. So that's one thing. When you're selling this to people and you're shipping things across state lines, there are certain state laws. Like, you could sell something within your state, sell it within your state to like local, uh, you know, like let's take this. All right. So a bake sale for a church, a bake scale sale for a school. You can make cupcakes at home, right? You're selling them to the public, but this is like a cooked item. So, and every state has different laws for what you can and cannot sell. And typically, like breads, baked goods, things like that are all part of this list. And in fact, there's a name for this. Bear with me here, but it is usually run by your local health department. And so this is called cottage food industry. So thinking of your home as being like a cottage, and you have to be approved for these things. So, like, especially in the state of New York, they have one of the toughest regulations for this, where, you know, even though they have an approved list, and I'll add the links for this in the description, if you happen to live in New York State, but they have an approved list of things that you can cook: biscuits, bagels, muffins, donuts, baklava, biscotti, right? Things that have all been baked. And so that kind of goes with like the whole bake sale. That's probably why New York has these specific items, you know, because if they were to do away with this altogether, then no more bake sales for the church, or, for school, or any kind of, donation raising. You'd only be able to do car washes. So, uh, a lot of this stuff they know is typically not going to have any kind of, you know, virus or anything on it, right? So, for lack of a better word. again, this is not my forte, getting into like food science and things like that. But whenever I see people that are doing this, because like Chef P got outed, publicly, right? It was a big channel. She went viral. This became a big thing. So that got shut down really quick. But it's the little people that hide and lurk in the corners that are the most dangerous, because nobody knows what they're doing. It's like the Silk Road mentality. And if you don't know what that is, there's a great documentary, I think on Netflix. Joe Rogan had the producer of that series. And it was about a guy who was selling illegal drugs on a website called the Silk Road. And you could get literally anything you want. And people from all over the country and Canada and US were involved in this. And so it was kind of like a hidden dark place on the internet where you could buy illegal drugs and have them shipped to you. So that's one of these like little dangerous things, because nobody sees that it's happening. The FDA is not onto it. The DEA is not onto it. So when some of these self-proclaimed doctors, healers or whatever, are trying to sell you nonsense on social media in little places like Instagram, it's pretty dangerous, because they sound like, oh, well, that makes sense what these people are saying, right? There's this big push over the last couple of years of everybody's against big corporations because they're poisoning us with the prepackaged food and all this chemicals that's in everything. And that's just so much nonsense. We all know, yeah, we shouldn't eat as much processed food, but for some people, they don't have a choice. And I know you're going to litter up the comments with, yeah, there is. Okay, whatever. But at least this stuff has been tested. So when people are making up concoctions at home that could potentially be more dangerous than the big corporations that they're fighting against, right? Isn't that pretty hypocritical? I'm against big corporations because they're evil and diabolical and just trying to make money. That's a lot of the attitude out of a lot of these people. So they're like avengers, for health and wellness. But they're radicals, so they're selling this garbage at home that they're making. And you don't know, like, does this person have a litter box or pets or cats? Because Miss Pink I think it was Chef P, she had like glitter in her food. So like, that's not healthy, right? But here's one of these people. So this is MB Wellness. And they have let's switch that over there. Yeah, move it over there. So this is a certified wellness and nutrition counselor, a licensed manual therapist and physiotherapist. Well, isn't that the same thing as a licensed manual therapist? Like, that's pretty redundant. But this guy is full of all kinds of anti-establishment stuff. And this is him right here in this first one. Like, he looks like he's just come out of chemotherapy. Is this somebody you're going to take health advice from? This is insane. He's got all these before and after and all the things that your body needs. But like, look at this guy. He's just like a puffy little man. Like, this is not the body of fitness and wellness. There's no definition. He's just, yeah. Anyway, but he is selling this toxic-free toothpaste. Let's check this out.
Good morning. This is an organic toothpaste that I'm making not only for my clients, but for anyone that wants to improve their gum health and their oral health. This only has 4 ingredients. It's coconut oil, baking soda, arrowroot powder, and a bit of anise for flavor. It almost tastes like a sugar cookie. You do not need harsh surfactants or chemicals or fluorides or very strong essential oils to add to your toothpaste. Friction, the brush itself is cleansing the mouth. You should never sterilize your mouth unless you have a deep cut or laceration of some sort.
Well, that's kind of insane. You don't need to clean your mouth, really? So over 100 years of science and medicine and trial and error, pay no attention to that. You've been doing it wrong all these times. All you've needed was a pine cone. Just, one of those little pine cones, the tiny baby pine cones that are pretty abrasive. Just use one of those. Like, this shit is nonsense. And I love it. This guy's Italian, supposedly. I'm even starting to question that, because he says anise. Hey, how do you pronounce that plant? Anise?
Anise.
What was that?
Anise.
Oh, it's not anise, it's anise. I mean, he doesn't even know how to pronounce things. And I love in the description, it says here, it is, let's see here. This is very mild and tastes like backed sugar cookie. I've never had a backed sugar cookie. Backed. Like he can't even spell. That was the problem with Chef P. You know, she was mislabeling her ingredients label. Everything was, misspelled. And her quantity counts were way off. Like the little 16-ounce bottle, it said it had 444 servings. Like that's just absolutely insane. Her ingredients were all wrong on the packaging. Everything was wrong. So you're going to buy toothpaste from this guy? Like there used to be these like old mothers, cookbooks and kind of recipe books, and I can't even think of like the thing that you would have called them back in the day, but it was from way back in the day, kids. And it just had all these like home remedy kind of things. And there was kind of like your own homemade toothpaste for people who couldn't afford these things. And it was like a mixture of like baking soda, peppermint, something like that to make it taste good. So you don't abrasive to kind of get in between the gums and the teeth and get any food out of there. But people like this would be smarter to just give you the ingredients, not have on here, this will be available for purchase in the coming weeks. If you have questions or are interested, follow me here or contact me on my website, mbwellness.org. So it's kind of like the Silk Road. Like I know I shouldn't be selling this due to New York state laws, and I'm breaking every law, especially if I ship this to you. But hey, shh, keep it on the down low. This is the danger of this nonsense. This guy has had a YouTube channel that kind of failed for a little bit. He was puttering around with, or sharing all of his medical wisdom and insights, and as well as talk about music and everything else. Because of course they're also always musicians, a lot of these dipshits. And so his music is so good he can't even come up with names for the titles. They're just all numbered. Like here's a hit from song number 37. It shows you like how stupid these people are, that people are going to buy this nonsense. Somebody's going to buy this garbage. They'll use it, and in a few months their teeth will fall out. Now, does this guy have insurance? Does he have business insurance? Is he going to be able to cover the lawsuits that'll be coming against him? So if you check on his Instagram and you go to his website, he's also selling olive oil, home pressed olive oil. And again, that is one of the banned products from New York State. Like you can make these things in the state, but you can only sell them within the state. And that's only the approved things like the baked goods. But a lot of these things, and this is from the New York State Department of Agriculture. And it says that like certain jams and jellies and things like that, you cannot make and sell oils, dressings, certain beverages, roasted coffees, compotes, quiche, fudge caramels, pepper jellies, cheesecakes, cream-filled pastries. All right, these have a lot of things where these things could spoil and you could get somebody sick. Right? Any no-baked products, like the no-bake cookies, a big thing right now and has been for a couple of years. Anything containing alcohol, these are all prohibited. And again, I'll put this in the description so you can go to the link yourself. And this guy's in New York State. So he is selling stuff illegally across state lines. But think of this is the people that you can find. Think of the people that you haven't come across, but somebody will. Somebody inherently will. Your grandmother, your mom, aunt, uncle, a loved one, a brother, a sister, a friend. And they're going to buy some of this nonsense from these people because that's the thing today is to buy, want to help an up and coming person. But they don't know what the hell they're doing. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. On his YouTube channel, one episode, he talked about how that what did he say? That vitamin K was potassium. Or potassium is vitamin K, whatever it was. He was confusing K as being the symbol on the periodic table for potassium. Like he just had it all mixed up. I'd had Professor Dave on here. He's got his own big YouTube channel, and we kind of dispelled this guy already before, but he's still at it. So he's gotten off of YouTube, but now he's gone over to Instagram, or he's still pulling this nonsense. He's a crypto genius. He is a musical genius. He is a, health genius. He's a specialty in SEO, search engine optimization, graphic design, but all of his graphics look like a 13-year-old or even a 6-year-old wouldn't have done it. So it's hard not to try to not make these things personal. But when I see stuff like this, when I see these kind of fraudsters doing this kind of grift, where like they're not making hand over fist money, but they're just trying to, it's penny ante theft. The way I kind of look at this, these are the 2-bit hustlers. They're always looking for a scam or a scheme to just make a little extra money. But that's the danger. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. They don't have any background in this. These people don't have any education or any kind of real true education. They'll say that, oh, I've got a certification from the school. Okay, so you took a 3-hour course online. That's not the same as going to college and having a degree and using this stuff in the field and practical application. Because the thing about these major corporations, they have a recipe that's tried and true and can be replicated time and time and time again. Remember the whole thing with Mrs. Mrs. P. I keep wanting to call her Miss Pink because her hair and everything is all pink. But Chef P is that the color of her product changed 3 times. From beginning to where it is now, it just changed 3 different colors. So there's not that level of consistency. Versus when you're buying like Crest toothpaste or Colgate or any of these big brands, the government checks to make sure that that is consistent every time, every tube, no matter what. And then if there's an issue with it, we have recalls. We have national recalls. Like we got to get that stuff back, pay these people their money back. Sorry, this batch, we had a bad batch, right? This happens all the time with things. A lettuce shipment has whatever E. coli or whatever. This meat's got whatever, and it's always recalled. That's the government looking out for you. So you're going to trust this anarchist, the self-proclaimed anarchist, or the government and scientists and real doctors who know what the hell they're talking about? I don't know. I mean, listen, you do what you want, whatever, your choices to do with your body. I just want to inform you that there's these people out there and they're all over the place. They're all over LinkedIn. They're all over social media. And they profess to have this omnipotent wisdom and everything you've been doing in your life is wrong. And you need to listen to them. They're like the new health televangelists. And to me, they're just a bunch of idiots. So listen, just be careful, be safe, make sure that whatever you're buying is legal and, is safe. All right. So take care of yourself, and we'll see you next time on the John Malone Show.